This came in for repair today. This is a Pioneer SX-V200 stereo receiver. Probably from the mid-90s, I'm guessing. But you ever took a look at something you need to fix for somebody, or somebody has given you that doesn't work, and you start looking at a lot of the stuff on it and you kind of see telltale signs why it might not have worked? This thing's in pretty rough condition. It's very dirty and the bottom's corroded like it's taken a lot of water. I don't know what's happened to it. You can see a lot of rust back and behind that cup right there. The owner states that it was playing and it quit. Well, there's a few telltale signs to what might have caused it to quit. Basically, you're seeing the volume switch is still up between 8 and 9. The treble's reduced all the way, the bass is cranked, and the loudness button's on, and both the speaker inputs are in, and the poor thing was never turned off when it quit. So I'm guessing it either has a blown channel or a blown fuse in the audio channels. Haven't plugged it in yet to check it out. You can see a lot of paint splatter. There's crap all over the display. This is all white paint that's been splattered. It's all over the cord. Inside it's just filthy as all get out. It would have been a pretty nice receiver when it was new. Got a lot of inputs and outputs, and it's the first one I'd ever seen with a switchable stereo mono. This little button right here goes from mono to stereo. You have your antennas, input for CD, phono, auxiliary, input for tape recorder, video disc inputs. These are all your video inputs and outputs for a TV monitor. Here we have audio in and out for a VCR. 2 sets of speakers. 3 AC outlets on it. This one is unswitched. These 2 are switched. And your information. So let me set this down and open it up and we'll see what we got. Alright, you guys gotta check this out. This is one unhappy receiver. Look at how filthy that thing is. For my friend John out in Arkansas, John, this is chicken coop fresh, not that Emerson radio I brought home a couple weeks ago. This kind of looks like the inside of that Emerson radio, but that's because it doesn't have a top. Boy, oh boy, what a mess. I pulled the fuse, and it looks like it suffered a very violent death. Doesn't look very good. But there's no telltale signs of anything else being buggered up or blown or anything like that. So let me see if I have a fuse and we'll pop it in and see if it'll pop the fuse again. If it does, we know we got farther problems down the road. I've installed a new 2 amp 125 volt fuse down here to replace the blown one. Well, you'll see this as I see this. Let's go ahead and plug her in. Okay, that's a good sign. Nothing popped. Let's see what happens. Oh, cool. Hey, I heard they come out of protection for the speakers. Great. Well, that's a good sign. Let's get an antenna and some speakers hooked up to this and see what it sounds like. Well, good news is we got audio out of it. But I have never seen push button controls so dirty and for my life. Good Lord. We have very little audio out of the left channel. Left channel does work though. It's just very weak. There, it's balanced. Well, it's a start. At least it's back to working again. I can tell the owner it is salvageable, but boy oh boy does it ever need a good cleaning. Good morning all. Sunday 17th of February. It's a little before 8 o'clock this morning. A little bit of bird chatter out there this morning. Cold. 16.9 this morning. Whew. It was chilly yesterday. It was only about 20 degrees with a nice wind out of the northwest at about 10 miles an hour. Well, this morning let's go out and get this receiver out of storage. It's Pioneer that I showed the other day. And let's get to blowing that thing out. Now there's some other stuff I gotta do to that. I gotta clean the controls, of course. And just give it a good going through. Put the proper fuse in. I have a 2 amp 125 volt fuse in there right now. But in case anything would ever surge, I'm going to replace it with a 2 amp 250 volt fuse. That way, in case you'd ever get a power surge, it won't pop that fuse prematurely or anything would ever happen. So there's no fear of it ever going out. And there's the victim. Just in recap, we gotta, like you've seen here, clean all this crud out and blow it out the air compressor real good this morning. Take it outside to do that. So I'll reconnect with you guys here in a few minutes. Alright, you can see that I have, or not, said receiver out there ready to be blown out. Air compressor's all ready. And we'll go out and see what's going on. Yeah. Rules of life to live by. Ow. Which way is the wind blowing? It's blowing. Okay. Ain't gonna be downwind from this damn thing. Here we go. Man, oh man, that looks a lot better. Starting to snow. I better get this back inside. Well, as you can see, the Pioneer's happy as can be now. Had a bath, it's gotten cleaned up. It's had its internals cleaned. Boy, that was a mess. You can actually see the color of the circuit board now. Hooked up my Pioneer single disc CD player I have from the early 90s, and boy does it ever sound good with it. I don't know what this receiver is rated at watts wise. My little speakers, my little Pioneer bookshelf speakers, are only rated for 50 watts a piece, and I only had this little thing up to maybe between 1 and 2 at the most, and it was making this one over here pop just a little bit, so I backed it off. So I think that thing's probably capable of pushing 50 watts a channel easy. If not, I don't know what it'd be. If anybody's got any comments on that, feel free to leave them. I'd be interested to know what this little receiver does have wattage RMS per channel. Everything's been cleaned on the back. What's neat about this receiver is that you can couple a video monitor with it and put VCRs or Laserdisc players with it, or dub from a VCR to a VCR, and you can select mono or stereo for either a mono or stereo VCR. Then you have an AV CD auxiliary input here, and then a phonograph input right here. 2 sets of speakers, an A and a B, 3 power outlets. Now, I was trying to find a date on my CD. 1991. That's been a really good CD player. I forget how much I might have traded a guy for it or something, but if I gave anything for it, it probably wasn't but 20 bucks. But there it is, the finished product, all ready to go back. Oh, one thing I did find, if I can tip this up very easy with it playing the way it is. On the bottom of this receiver, somebody had worked on this prior in the past. Now, the owner did state that he'd bought this off of eBay for 30 bucks. And sure enough, it had been serviced once before by Optimum Sound Incorporated, and it was checked by technician DAK, and they're located at Northwest 104th Stadium Way, Pullman, Washington. And it's got their phone number on here, and they must have changed the phone number at one point because they got a +4 and an ink pen. But underneath of this panel is the underside of the heat sink. Now, it's not rusty on the inside. I don't know what happened here. Something got spilled on it, chemical or what have you, or it got leaked on, or I don't know what happened to it exactly. But I should turn that down. I didn't even think about that. The copyright guys are gonna haul me off to YouTube prison. Underneath of this is the heat sink, right up in here. This is the bottom screw that goes into the heat sink. And back over in here, I started noticing some solder joints that had been redone and redone. And a couple over here, and a couple like up in here. And sure enough, I flipped this over. This must have had a blown channel or audio problems at one time, because somebody had replaced one of the transistors that's attached to that heat sink. They're different branded. One's a Mitsubishi and the other one is a Toshiba. So somebody had, I'm guessing, at one point had blown a channel in this poor receiver and had taken it to these fellows for repairs. And other touch-ups, this looked like they kind of went back and hit some solder joints here and there. So I'm wondering what it actually had wrong with it when it was brought in for repairs, unless they just thought the solder joints were sloppy and laid a pound or so of solder in there just for the hell of it and charged the customer. God only knows. But there it is. She's complete. She sounds good. The tuner's a little weird on this, and there's no way I can fix it. Let's see, it's in auto mode. It's kind of distorted when it first lands on a channel.
Decision. Come visit us at the better that we hurry back to the Father.
And it's funny, that better. Station there, I don't cruise the FM dial very often as much as I do AM anymore. But that gave its ID calls at 8 o'clock this morning, and it's West Lafayette, Indiana. Jimmy, that's like 3 or 4 hours northwest of me. And it actually comes in pretty good, unless it's being repeated from somewhere else around this area where I'm at.
specialists are world-class matchmakers.
Got you tiptoeing on my marble floor.
It's got good bass in it. Yeah, enough of that. Sounded good though.
Traveling costs and everything, it is.
Well, there's another oddball station that's about 2 hours north of me. You don't get very often.
Each other and say, "Are
There's our local oldies station.
And we'll add another 10% to your payout and give
So yeah, I'm very impressed. I always have liked Pioneer's tuners. They really seem to lock on to stations and they do a real good job. So I hope you enjoyed watching this, and more to come later.